Well, hi friends. Welcome to this video, and some of you have watched some of my other videos, and for some of you this will be the first one. I'm focusing today on churches. That's what I do primarily as my day job, and I'm grateful to the churches of Harvest Baptist Association here in North Central Texas for allowing me to serve as your executive director and lead strategist. I just love churches. And we are in an incredible time right now. Who would have thought a month ago when we began hearing about this strange thing that was going on in China that we would be where we are right now? And there's tons of information out there. There are lots of advice being given, lots of helpful things, a lot of maybe not so helpful things. But I just want today to share my heart with some ideas about how churches can approach this time. I'm not going to suggest any particular strategies or anything like that in this video. I want to talk about some principles that I think are really important for us to think about in what really is an unprecedented time, particularly in our country, in our lifetime. And so I have 6 different things I want to share with you really quickly today. They are not in any particular order, except they're in the order that I thought of them and wrote them down. So I'll give that thing. They're not in order of importance or anything like that. But just here are things that I think are really important for every church to think about, regardless of what choices you are making in terms of what you're doing with your public gatherings or anything else right now. But the first thing I want to tell you is this. I think it's so important for us to not create an us versus them mentality with our neighborhoods or with the government even. I want us to think about, and instead of thinking about what they are doing to us or what they are asking of us, what they are requiring of us, rather to think about what we can do for them. We are all familiar probably with Jeremiah 29:11. We like that. And you know, when God says, I know the plans I have for you, and plans to prosper you, to give you hope in the future, that kind of stuff. We may not be as familiar with Jeremiah 29:7, but I think it's an incredible principle for this time right now. Jeremiah 29:7 says, seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will have welfare. So instead of thinking about what they are doing to us, how we're being inconvenienced, or think about how we can best seek the welfare of our neighbors. And that leads me into the second thing, is we ought to be asking ourselves a question right now: how can we love our neighbors well and show them that we are for them? People are afraid. And we've got some fear in the church that has maybe caused us to not make the best decisions sometimes. But people out there are afraid, and they're doing some crazy things because they're afraid. And you know, and we can make fun of people for going and buying up all the toilet paper and all those kind of things. But people are afraid, and we have an incredible opportunity as a church right now to let our neighbors know that we are for them, and to figure out ways that we can love them well during a time when everything seems so uncertain and so fearful. We have an opportunity to step into situations right now, perhaps unlike any time in recent history. A third thing, I want us to think about reframing the whole issue. Instead of focusing on what we can't do, to focus on the opportunities that are before us. Instead of thinking about our obstacles and hindrances, think about what opportunities have been opened. What is this going to make possible? We have opportunities to renew our vision. We have opportunities to learn new skills and embrace new tools and connect in new ways. I mean, I am, for the first time right now, I've been doing videos for a while. This is the first time I've ever recorded directly to YouTube. And I'm experimenting this with right now, just trying to find tools. And this is an opportunity we're having for that right now. And so if we can not spend all of our time thinking about our obstacles, but really say, what is this situation, what is this time making possible for us, and embracing that. Number 4, I want to say to us, this is not a time to wait and see. This is a time to dive in. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about churches that are making the hard decisions about whether or not to continue with gathering publicly. I will not fault anybody for a wait and see attitude on that, though my personal opinion is that's not the best approach. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about there are opportunities that are before us, regardless of what we are deciding to do about our public gatherings, and it's time to dive into those opportunities to say, what can we be learning right now? What tools can we be developing that will help us do better ministry even after this current crisis is over? I think every church should be live streaming their services all the time. And in fact, I read a message this morning from a friend of mine who said, I'm so glad we started live streaming our services 2 years ago, because this didn't catch us by surprise. We were already ready to go. We were already set up. I think every church ought to do that, because you have an opportunity to connect with people who may not ever come inside your building, to connect with people who are not able to get out. So I think every church ought to be doing that anyway. This is a great time to learn how to do that. I think every church ought to have online giving set up. We are living in a time where fewer and fewer people are carrying around a checkbook. And to be able to have digital ways of supporting the work of the ministry and investing in the kingdom, we ought to be doing that. And this is a great time to get that set up for our churches. This is a time for us to go all in on the opportunities to connect on social media. And I don't mean go all in on every platform. I mean, pick one and really say, this is a way that our church is going to really invest in some effort for that. Doing video, it's, the saying's been around forever, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, video is 300 frames a second, or however many that is. Just these little video messages. Some people will skip past a text. They'll skip past words, but they'll connect with a video. And then doing online meetings. There are opportunities that we have where we can get the work done that we need to do. We can have the studies that we need to have. We can get things accomplished and not have to deal with drive time and setting up facilities, all those kind of things like that. Those are all opportunities we have right now, and this is the time to dive into learning how to do those things. And if you have an iPhone or a smartphone of another kind, you have a powerful toolbox already. So we're not talking about having to invest in a bunch of equipment and expensive things. I mostly work with small churches who don't have budgets for those kind of things. But you've got people that have got smartphones, and there are tools for that. Number 5, please hear this. Technology will never, nor should it ever, replace in-person relationships. It's going to be so great when we can gather without worrying about spreading a disease. It's going to be so great when we can go back to those times of hugging and high fives and handshakes and greeting one another with a holy kiss or hug, or however you do that in your church. It's going to be so great when we do that, and nothing digitally can replace that, and it shouldn't. So we're not talking about shifting our whole paradigm away from the personal gatherings. We're talking about adding to as a way to enhance that and as a way to connect with people who we don't have the opportunity to be in the room with. But please don't ever hear me say that that this is replacing being in person, because that's not the way God wired us. We just want to make the best use of the things that are available to us. And then the last thing I want to tell you is I have a fear. And this is my biggest fear about this time. My biggest fear is that we are going to make some adjustments right now because it's necessary. And we're going to do some things differently. But we're going to see them as temporary. Now, hopefully, if you have suspended your public gatherings, hopefully that is temporary, and it should be temporary. It will be temporary. But learning these new skills and tools and technologies, my greatest fear is that a few months down the road, we're going to hear this virus has been eradicated. We are past it. We can go back to living life without the restrictions. My fear is that we will say, now we can get back to normal, and we'll go back to doing things only the way that we did them before, rather than taking the lessons that we learn during this time and saying, we are going to be better prepared to do ministry when these restrictions are lifted, because we have learned new things and new tools to allow us to connect with more people for the sake of the good news of Jesus and the gospel of His kingdom. We have set up a page on our website right now at Harvest Baptist Association with some resources and tools, and I'm going to be updating that frequently, probably every day for a while. And I just want you to know about that page. It is harvestba.org/coronavirus. And there's some articles there. There are some links to some tutorials on how to set up things. There are links to different places where different service providers for online giving, just a lot of different things there. And I'd encourage you to go there and look at those. And I just want you to know that this is an amazing time, whether we realize it or not. We will decide whether or not it's an amazing time. I'm convinced that we can be amazing, and our churches can be amazing, because we are amazed by God and we are joining Him in His amazing activity in the world. God is at work in the world. What the enemy intended for evil, God intends for good. And God redeems what He allows. And these are just an amazing times, and I want to see churches find their amazing as much as I want to see individuals find that. So thanks for watching. I'm going to be sharing more of these as I have the opportunity, and I appreciate you so much. I'm praying for you right now, for your pastors, for your leaders, that they make good decisions, and that God guides us to take advantage, to make the most of the opportunities before us in this time. God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.